Okay, we are in Shaar Dalet, Perek Hey, and I just want to do a brief review.
9 o'clock.
Oops, I want to do a brief review of the of what we said on last time Sunday, and I think we can't go further without it. There seems to be a clear chilukei deis here between the Nefesh Hachaim and what I brought, which helped bring out the point, was Reb Tzadok. Reb Tzadok said something which was remarkable. Reb Tzadok in the Tzidkas HaTzadik, he says something remarkable, and that is that Torah Lishmah is such that if you say a Chiddush and it's not Lishmah, his definition of Lo Lishmah is that you have any agenda, any pnios, any other reason than just learning Torah Hashem, then your Torah is not Torah. So qualitatively, if your Torah is not 100% Lishma, sefelt in the Torah. There's no Torah here. So it means to say that qualitatively the pshat in the Torah is the Lishma. The Lishma qualifies as the pshat in the Torah. According to Nefesh Hachaim, he's saying it seems to me like a completely different thing, and I want to show you that there's huge ramifications to this. But what he says is that Lishma is not about the Torah per se. Learn Torah. It's what is needed is Yiras Hashem. But the way we're going to learn, and the way we learned it, is that Yiras Hashem is not a qualitative difference in your Torah itself. It's the background, the backdrop, the prerequisite, the oitzer for Torah. So understand this chakira, and we'll understand the whole difference in the two worlds. Whether the Torah itself is a chefza of Yiras Hashem, as I think a good example of that is tefillah. Tefillah, like if the whole thing is a chefza of talking to Hashem. Torah means when Hashem is talking to us, is not a chefza of Yiras Hashem. However, says the Nefesh Hachaim, the backdrop, I have to come into this with Yiras Hashem. That's my oitzer. That's the keli for my Torah. And as long as my keli for Torah is there, so now HaKadosh Baruch Hu could fit Torah into it and just learn. So nafkamina is, does the learning have to be with 100% like this Kedusha and Yiras Hashem, or is that the backdrop? So I mentioned on Sunday that I think that this might be Derech Efshar, I didn't see this in any of the Mefarshim, this might gufa be the machlokes this might be the machlokes in the Gemara and Brachos between Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Gamliel closed the Beis Medrash. He closed the Beis Medrash completely, and he said anybody who's not... I say, if you have kids in the background, just mute yourself, please. Hello? Yeah, thank you. If you have... Rabbi Gamliel didn't allow anybody into his Beis Medrash that wasn't Toichei Kebarei. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, let everybody in. So what's gufa the machlokes? This is what I explained on Sunday. What seems to be the machlokes, that is, Toichei Kebarei means that I have no pniyos. Toichei Kebarei, that's what the word means. Toichei Kebarei. I'm not like it's a Reb Tzadok type of halacha. That I don't have any pniyos, I have no negias, I have no reason at all to learn Torah, except for that it's Torah Hashem. And Rabbi Gamliel, that's what the definition of Tocho Kabaro is. So Rabbi Gamliel said, look, if you're not Tocho Kabaro, don't come in here because your Torah is not Torah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Silek Shomer HaPesach, Salkul Shomer HaPesach, he took away the guard, whoever that guard was, and he said, let everybody come, forget the Tocho Kabaro. What does that mean? Obviously, he was letting people in that were Yiras Hashem, but Ad Kedei Kach, Yiras Hashem is the backdrop. But when you're here, you just learn Torah. We're not looking that every word of your Torah is without pniyos. Move on. Is this understood? This is what we said until now. Now we're saying, let's look inside. According to the amount of yira. Now the oitzer yira. Think of oitzer as a big silo on a farm on a country road. So lefi goydel oitzer hayira asher hechen loy ha'adam kein al zeh ha'erech yuchel ikanes lishtamer liskayim b'soichet tvuas ha'torah k'fi asher yachzik oitzarei. In other words, a person has, I'm reading in Shaar Dalet Perek Hey, somebody just said, a person has a capacity. What's the capacity for Yiras Shamayim? What's the capacity for my Torah? The amount of Yiras Shamayim I have. So we have to look at Yiras Shamayim as says Nefesh Hachaim, different than Reb Tzadok. We have to look at the Yiras Shamayim as the silo, the storage bin, and then the Torah is what goes into it. So, according to the size of my silo, Asher Heichen Layadam, which you prepare, how we prepare ourselves for the moment of Torah, al zeh ha'erech yuchal ikanes lishtamer liskayim b'soichai tvuos ha'Torah, kvi asher yachzik oitzarei. And he explains this, and he gives this mashal. And by the way, this is the second time he gives this mashal. The first time he gave this mashal was in Shaar Aleph, which I'll show you inside. Ki ha'ov ha'mechalik tvua levanav. So here's the mashal. A father is doing a chalukah for his children, right? Erev Pesach. I want to give out tevua. I want to give out wheat. So how does he give? He loves all his sons equally. But how does he know how much to give each one of his sons? And the answer is, who mechalik v'noisen l'chol echad midas hatvua, kefi asher yachzik oitzarei shel haben asher heichen al zeh mikoydem. He's not looking at how much he loves the son. He's looking at what your capacity for storage is. So if one son is coming and says, look, I can handle 6 weeks worth of tefua, so he's going to give him 6 weeks worth of tefua. Another guy says, look, I only have what I can carry in my hand, so he's going to give him. Why would he give him 6 weeks worth of tefua? Sha'afim yirtzav, even if the father wants to give him more, v'yadai psucha liten loy harbe, and I'm generous. Amnon kevan sha'aben eino yachol lakabel yoser, if the son can't be makabeled, machmas farvos she'eino itzarei gadol kolkach, because he doesn't have such a big oitzer. Sheyuchol lahachzik yoser, gam ha'av yefshel loy liten ato yoser, v'im loy heichen loy haben oif oitzer katan, and let's say the son comes to the chalukah and he doesn't even have a small oitzer. I have nothing to carry. I have no bags. I have no anything. So in other words, you're going into Osherad, into the supermarket, but you can only take what you can carry in your hand. So the whole supermarket's open to you, even if it's for free, but you can only take what you carry in your hand. So what is your hand? What is the silo? What is the kli? Yiras Shamayim. I want to delve into why that would be, but let's just... If one son is you have no place to keep. Kain hu yisparach shmoi. Same things with Hashem. Yodai psucha kivyachol lashpia tamid. Rabbi Avram, Nadel, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Because your picture is occupying the entire screen for some reason.
Oh, okay, I put on mute, sorry.
Oh, is that why? Kain hu yisparach shmoi, yodai psucha, not bother me, I like looking at you. Kain hu yisparach shmoi, yodai psucha kivyachol lahashpia tamid. So the same thing is with the Rebbeinu Shleilam. Yodai psucha kivyachol lahashpia tamid, l'chol ish me'am skulasai. How much Torah is everybody getting? How much Torah is every one of us getting? So Yadai Psucha Kivyachal Lashpia Tamid L'chol Ish Mi'am Skulasai. He's open to give everybody Torah. Roiv Chachma Ubina Yisera. We'll have the capacity. We'll be able to have a lot of Chachma. We'll have a lot of Bina. V'shititzkayim Metzlam. It'll stay with us, our Torah. V'yiksherem Al Luach Libam. It'll be part of our heart. Lishtashea itam, this is powerful words, Rabbi say. Lishtashea itam b'vayam la'olam hamanucha. That's the Torah that's going to stay with you when you die. V'talmuda biyadam, because Chazal say, Ashrei mi shebalakan v'talmuda biyadam. So it's a fascinating thing that, like, you could have two people learning Torah, b'chavrusa. And maybe one of them is even better than the other one. Because Yiras Hashem Lishmah, if a person has Yiras Shamayim as a kli, so he can take that Torah out of the Osherad, this world, and bring it into the next world. I have the Torah, it's Mishtamer, it's like. Mashen Kain, if I'm learning the same Torah, even better Torah, but I'm doing it without Yiras Shamayim, it doesn't stick. I presume it doesn't stick in your memory as well. One of the Tanoim, it just occurs to me, one of the Tanoim, one of the Talmidim of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Chamisha Talmidim hayu leila Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. So I think it was Rabbi Yossi. The Mishnah says he was kibar sud she'eino ma'abed mimeno tipa. He was like a when he learned Torah. It says each one Ashri. Each one has a different Mila, but the Mila was kibar sud she'eino nevad mimeno tipa. He was like a sealed cistern that doesn't lose a drop, meaning that the Torah that he learned, he retained completely. So I know the Chafetz Chaim asked the Kasha, so he says, why is that a Mila? I mean, a Mila is Hasmada. A Mila is, to be a Mayan HaMiskaber. But that he had a photographic memory, I mean, why is that such a, that he retained, he had a really good memory like a lot of you guys have? I don't have it. Like, they had a good memory. Why is that even a spiritual Mila that it's brought down in Pirkei Avos? Pirkei Avos is all about spiritual Milos, things you should try to attain. So the Chafetz Chaim, after giving a whole mashal, says, fascinating thing, he says that the Mila wasn't that he had a good memory. The Mila was that he was so serious and he had so much Yiras Shamayim in his learning. He had so much Yiras Shamayim in his learning, so that it stuck. In other words, when somebody, like, he gives a mashal, like a person sees the Melech Ba'ala'ir once in a lifetime. You see the Melech Ba'ala'ir, right? The president comes to your little town. You remember 20 years later, 30 years later, you'll be able to tell the story about how he came out of the car and who opened the car and what the guy looked like and what kind of tie he was wearing. You become lahavdil a bar sud she'eino mimeno tipa because of the seriousness of the situation and the uniqueness of the situation. So the Chafetz Chaim says that was the Mila of Rabbi, I think it's Rabbi Yossi. That was the Mila of Rabbi Yossi, that he was a bar sud she'eino mimeno tipa. His Torah was so serious. So that's the same thing that we're saying here, that we're talking about it's not the Torah that we're learning, but the capacity to retain it and the capacity to have bina and chachma is all about the Yiras Shamayim. Amnam hadavar talui lefi oitzer hayira. Now the fact is, it's all. Shmuel, you have to mute yourself. Amnam hadavar talui lefi oitzer hayira shetikadem el ha'adam. Rabbi Sai, somebody's got to mute themselves. I can do the background noise. Thank you. This all depends on how much Yiras Shamayim you have. Sheim hechen lo ya'adam oitzer gadol sheyiras Hashem tahira kein Hashem yiten lo chachma utfuna b'rov shefa kvi shetachzik oitzarai. That's the amount of Torah that the Avinu Shebashamayim will give us. Hakol lefi goydol otzar. So first of all, let's just read one more paragraph. And if, on the other hand, a person has a little tiny oitzer, in other words, our Yiras Shamayim is very small. She'ein ba yirasa yispar klal chas v'shalom. If I'm learning without Yiras Shamayim, gam hu yisparach lo yishpal lo yishpia lo shum chachma klal. So you hear that this is a new chiddush, that if I have no capacity, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us less matana, so that, because why? Because I can't be miskayim it anyway. What's the point of it? So I want to just share with you just a thought that, we're talking about the machlokes, Rabbi Gamliel and what started off as a machlokes of the Shomer HaPesach of Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And it seems like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was saying, look, if there's Yiras Shamayim, there's an oitzer, you don't have to be so toichei kabar, which I want to point out, I'm not sure if I'm right, I'm not such a big historian, a little bit, but I want to point out that Lamaisa, that was the machlokes between that was the difference between Volozhin yeshiva and many of the Hasidic yeshivas, because it seems like in many of the in the Volozhin yeshivas they said, look, Torah is going to get lost, and people have to come. Not that they let everyone in, they didn't, but they weren't looking so much at whether they have agendas or pnios. In fact, a lot of the Volozhin yeshiva the attraction of it was for very big intellectuals because they were Jews. They couldn't get into universities. That is a fact. So they're learning Torah, whereas the let's call it the more Hasidic world, neither one of these is right or wrong. I'm just saying the machlokes. We're saying that no, like, what are you going to end up with this? You're going to end up with a guy who's a big lamdan and a big Talmud Chacham, and he's learning Gemara on Shabbos with smoking a cigarette, which was the vart of what they were saying. So that was the essence of what they were saying, that this kind of Torah, the Torah without a strong Lishmah, is not going to work. So you had an argument, and the Nefesh Hachaim's answer to that question would be that, okay, I'm not. Of course, you have to have Yiras Shamayim. This is not a question that you have to have Yiras Shamayim. The question is, does it have to permeate every word of my Torah? Can there not be any paniya at all? Now, the reality is, because there were so many, Volozhiners, if you will, that were learning Torah and they weren't on the derech of Torah, because of that, Gufa started the Musar movement. That's why Slabotka started, that's why Navardik started, that's why they all started. It wasn't just to have good mitos. They started to reintroduce, Rabbi Shol Salanter wanted to reintroduce the union of Yiras Shamayim, but in a non-Hasidic way. So what's the non-Hasidic way? The Hasidic way is that, I'm learning Torah like I'm davening. And the more Litvish way is not that I'm learning Torah like I'm davening, but I'm learning Torah with a background of Yiras Shamayim. So you have Musar Seder, and you have learning Seder. I think that the Chazon Ish was once famous for saying, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but the Chazon Ish once famously said that when you daven, you should daven like a chassid, and when you learn, you should learn like a litvak. That was his nekuda. Now, Valzel Amar HaKosuv, says the Nefesh Hachaim, Reish is Chachma Yiras Hashem. Reish is Chachma Yiras Hashem, which, by the way, he's going to tell us is this week's parsha of B'Tzalel. Because it says HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Chachma to the Chachamim, meaning B'Tzalel and the... What are you saying? The Gemara says that Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu noisen Chachma elul mi sheyesh bo Chachma. L'chol asher nasa, I think the pasuk is L'chol asher nasa libay. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them the Chachma. So the Svarim ask, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu noisen Chachma elul mi sheyesh bo Chachma. But how do you get that Chachma to begin with? Like where do you get the first drop of Chachma? And the answer is Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem. That Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu noisen Chachma elul mi sheyesh bo Chachma is referring to the Etzem Chachma, which is Yiras Hashem. We need to understand why that's called Chachma. But what from here you see that the Keli for Chachma, which is Yiras Shamayim, is called Chachma itself. It's a chiddush because you don't say like the pickle jar are called pickles. But here we're saying Reish is Chachma Yiras Hashem, that the Yiras Hashem is Gufa a Chachma. So tzarich a little bit as to why that might be. I want to take you back for a moment, if you have it, in Shaar Aleph, Perek Tes Zayin, in the Nefesh Hachaim, where he uses the same mashal. And he says here, in Perek Tes Zayin, the third or fourth paragraph, the Nefesh Hachaim says, Ubezeh yuvan kavanosim zal, that he wants to understand the kavanah of Chazal, b'shmois rabba parasha mem aleph, medrash, al pasuk. So the pasuk says, Ki Hashem yitein chachma mipiv das usvuna. That Hashem, that's a pasuk, Hashem yitein chachma. Okay, we know that. That was Har Sinai, Hashem yitein chachma. Mipiv das usvuna. That's what Shlomo HaMelech said. From his mouth comes das usvuna. Zok the medrash. Sha'amro, Medrash says, Lama hadavar daimeh. How do we understand this pasuk? L'melech shehaya lo bein, to a melech that had a son, which is very similar to the mashal that we're saying here. Ba b'nai mi beis ha-sefer. Okay, here you are. You're a melech, and your kid comes home from school. Ba b'nai mi beis ha-sefer. In the olden days, kids went to school. Matzah tamchui lifnei aviv. And he comes into the house, and there's a big tamchui, which is a big serving plate, in front of the father. Notal aviv chaticha achas. So the father I don't know why he has to be a melech, but let's say, he reaches into the tamchui, into the serving plate, Notal aviv chaticha achas, and he says, Unasan aloi, here's a hot dog for you. Since the son was a clever son, Amar Loi, Eini mevakesh elo mimashe b'toich picha. No. I'm your son. I don't want to eat from the serving plate. I want what you're eating. I want what you're eating. Mimashe b'toich picha. Ma'asa. So what does the father do? He takes it out of his mouth, unasan aloi, and he gives it to the son. What does this medrash mean? So the Nefesh Hachaim says, Hainu, what this means is Shebakoshes haben yakir lahasig sheyushba boy nitzutzei or bechinas haneshama. Very deep thing, Rabbi, and I want to take a minute to understand this. Shebakoshes haben yakir lahasig sheyushba boy nitzutzei or bechinas haneshama. What does the son ask? Okay, we got the mashal. Kid comes home from school. He wants something to eat. The father gives him the serving plate. He says, no, I want it from your mouth. And the father gives it to him.
What? I have to mute myself.
Yeah. Just mute, because otherwise you're... Asher Makarin Alama Benashimas Pivis Baruch Shema. I don't know if any of you have the sefer in front of you, but this is, I believe, a very deep paragraph over here. What he's saying is that what's the difference between the Torah, Hashem Yiten Chachma, let's just analyze it for a second. Hashem Yiten Chachma, Mipiv Das Usvuna. So the Chachma is the Kolliistic Torah of Hashem. Har Sinai, Hashem Yiten Chachma. Mipiv Das Usvuna, says the Nefesh Hachaim, is the specific Torah for my neshama. You understand this? Meaning, there's Torah Klali, and then there's Torah from my neshama. Not just, and here he's saying something much more than what he's saying in Shaar Dalet. What he's saying is not just the quantity of the Torah, or not just the fact that it's going to be Meskayim Etzli B'Yom HaMenucha. Something much deeper than that.
Is it nothing to do with Chachma, Bina, and Das?
Yes, it does have to do with. That's what he's talking about here.
Tvuna is same Lashon as Bina.
Right. Mipiv das. Good. Mipiv das utvuna. No, but look. What he's saying is that every neshama, my neshama, your neshama, requires a different type of Torah. It's different. I'll just give you a mashal. Like somebody said, like I'm not going to give my daf yomi online because there's many, many good daf yomi shiurim. So I told him that's not a cheshbon, because then I shouldn't give any shiurim either. Like there's plenty of good shiurim online. That doesn't make any sense. The answer is everybody who's giving a daf yomi shiur this year, that year, has a different thing to offer. That's what they're offering, something different. It's being filtered a different way. So like it doesn't make, everybody has to give Torah, whether giving it to Talmidim, to your kids, or to yourself. But what he's saying here in Shaar Aleph, David, is that the Hashem Yiten Chachma is Torah Klali. Mipiv das utvuna, good diuk. Mipiv das utvuna is I'm taking a mamish from the mouth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because how do we get our neshama? Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. He doesn't say that, I say that. But in other words, the neshama that comes through mamish through the breathing of HaKadosh Baruch Hu straight from the mouth to mouth resuscitation. So what I'm asking for...
Is about the change of order? We're not looking at Chachma, Bina, Das. Bina comes before Das. Here in the Pasuk...
Always. Very good. That's what I'm saying. Chachma, Bina, Das. Chachma is always the first kernel of data, and Bina is belev. So bina is how it processes. One second, let me say, is how it processes through my life until it turns into das. But my das and somebody else's das is going to be different. So it says that's why the pasuk says, Hashem yitain chachma overall, mipiv das usvuna, and then it comes out das and svuna. You're right, is in the wrong order, but that's common. I mean, that's common. The two things are the result of it. Das u'tzvuna, and the Nefesh Hachaim Mefurish explains that it means it goes through the leiv and it ends up with das. So since the ikar is the das comes first. But first you have to have the kernel of chachma. So what we're talking about, let me just recap that point because it's an extremely important one before we close up. What we're talking about is that's the, it's not just my capacity for Torah, my Yiras Shamayim, and it's not even just how much I'll retain the Torah. There's something much deeper to it, and that is that it'll be Torah for my neshama. And the only way you'll get Torah, tailor-made Torah for your neshama, is if you're makdim it with your Shamayim. So again, one yesod was that we said at the beginning is that this is two dinim. There's a din of Yiras Shamayim, and there's a din of Lishma. And the two things shouldn't be confused. This is, the Volozhin was the first brisk. So there's two dinim over here. There's a din of Yiras Shamayim and there's a din of Lishma. The Lishma is L'Shem Torah. That's the whole Shaar Daled that he's going to tell us. The Yiras Shamayim is a separate thing. That's the prerequisite and the backdrop for my Torah. Now, what is the Yiras Shamayim tu'uf? It's my oitzer. Just summarizing. It's my oitzer. That's my capacity. Where is this capacity? The capacity is in my neshama. That's where Yiras Shamayim takes place. So according to the goydel of my neshama, so that's how much I'll be able to absorb the Torah, and it'll be, not only that, he says in Shaar, if it'll be my Torah. You know, I'll give you a mashal that occurred to me. It's not a very pleasant mashal, but it's a mashal anyways. But we all know this, but I remember hearing from Holocaust survivors that when they were liberated, they were those who survived were totally emaciated, and I mean there was nothing to them. So when they went to these refugee camps, and the Americans and others started to feed them, so there was a tendency on the part of the survivor to eat as much as he can. He hasn't seen food, and a tendency on the Baal Chesed, person who was doing the chalukah, to give as much as the person wanted. And the doctors came in, the nurses and the Red Cross and these things, they came in and said, this is not b'chachma, because what you're going to do is kill the people. What they have to do is they have to be able to, you have to give them a kernel, because they don't have the capacity for food. They've lost their capacity for food. So you have to give them a kernel and let that digest and see how it works. It's just like if you're dehydrated, it's never good to drink like 2-3 bottles of water at one time. It goes right through your body. Sip it in. So until you're in good shape. So it's really mamish the same thing and those that didn't have the capacity, their body couldn't handle it, and they didn't make it. So what you're talking about in Ruchnius is, and this is, I think, a very real thing that we need to ask ourselves, is what is our capacity for Torah exactly? What is our capacity? Because and the capacity, the way to examine that is the capacity of Yiras Shamayim. So hence, Reishis Chachma, Yiras Hashem. My capacity.
It sounds like a dangerous thing. It sounds like if you don't have a lot of Yiras Shamayim, don't learn so much Torah.
Well, it won't go in, and it might be dangerous, yeah. Meaning, let's say, I mean, we all know that if you don't have capacity, you shouldn't learn Kabbalah. Not everybody's told us. Yeah, so is that dangerous? No, it's not for everybody. And I'll tell you something else. That if you're a little child in Cheder, you probably shouldn't learn Ksais HaChoshen. because you have to be very, very careful with, in Chinuch, I think, in Chinuch you have to be very careful to teach the children what they have a capacity to learn. So even though you might have fun with them and get them to say words, but I'll tell you something very deep. There's Torah, even not just for children, for us. I see this all the time. There's Torah which is pnimi and there's Torah which is chitzoni. In yeshivas they call it knowing yeshiva she'ivra. But I'm speaking something more than that. There's Torah which a person, Some people really get it. They're learning something, it's internalized, and it's a life-changing, a life-altering Torah, and it's changed them. And that's the Torah, and they'll never forget it. This is the Torah, one type of Torah. Another type of Torah is, like, I learned the numbers, I learned the stories, I can say this, is it the Gavar, is it the Chefsa, is it blah, 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 but it's a Torah chitzoni, which never, is it the Poil, is it the Nifal, like my nafkamina, as I said. Like, I could use all kinds of yeshiva she'ivra, but I'm not really understanding it. And therefore, I'm not a changed person. Now, Yeshiva Sharei. Now, which is beautiful on the one hand. They've given us laws for Torah, if you will, but of how to learn Torah. But the problem is it's so easy to fall into and to resort to a superficial Torah. So, like, as a person sitting and thinking, am I really getting this? Am I really understanding? Just like we can fall into superficial tefillah. You can do all the acts of tefillah and not really be davening. And you could do all the acts of Torah somehow, and it's not real. So what's the difference between real and not real? The difference is the amount of Yiras Shamayim that there is. And if you think about it, the Yiras Shamayim this is such an important exercise, which I should do more often, and we should all do, but let's look for exercises in these very difficult days. But the exercise is that you learn something. It's this Shiur or Daf Yomi Shiur or whatever Shiur, where you open up a sefer. If you could stop for a minute and ask yourself, and this is something that Rav Scheinberg taught us to do, ask yourself, what did I just learn? What makara is it? Go to the sefer, and 2 minutes later you don't know what you learned. What did I just learn? And I don't mean to say chazer all the shakla v'tarya, and maybe if you can do that, do that. But it's more like, what did I just learn? And I tell you something, that if you have your Shemayim, you do that. And if you do that, you have a kinyan la'olam. A. B, besides for being able to maintain that Torah forever, besides for that, when you internalize it that way, it's your Torah. It's Torah for your neshama. Yeah? In other words, if I ask myself when I hear somebody say divrei chizuk and hisayrus, I ask myself, like, what did he just say? And I internalize it, so now it became mine, and it's my Torah. And what's fascinating is that my Torah, what I heard, will be different than what you heard, because we have 2 different neshamas. Hence, you have all over the Gemara, shtei amoraim aliba da'abaya. How could it be? How could Rav and Abaya be saying 2 different pshatim, what they heard from their Rebbe? Shtei tanoim aliba de Rabbi Kiva. How could it be? The answer is each one has a different neshama, and each one has a yechidiyus, which is processing the Torah in a different way. All that is Yiras Shamayim. That's just Yiras Shamayim, because if it's not Yiras Shamayim, so I'm varfing Torah. I'm just saying Yeshiva Shareit. I'm saying Chakiras. It's the main garnish. I always say, if you go to a doctor, but if you're sick and you go to a doctor, you want a doctor that understands the situation deeply. How does he understand deeply? He's really, he gets it. And I find half the world gets it and half the world doesn't in any subject. So, like, when it comes to Torah, it's not good enough to learn Torah. We need to get it. How do you get it? Get it. I get it, right? How do you get it? You get it with the Yiras Shamayim. And that's what we're doing. Let's just finish here another couple of minutes, the words of the Nefesh Hachaim back in Perek Hey, Shaar Daled Perek Hey. Let's finish until the Hagah. Malzeh Omer HaKasuv Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem Chamavayir B'Akdamas HaZohar. This is the Zohar in the Hakdama. Reb Chia Pasach. Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem Chamavayir B'Akdamas HaZohar Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem Ki Haikra Hachi Miboyle Soif Chachma. It shouldn't say Reishis Chachma, it should say Soif Chachma. That's the Zohar's question. It should say Soif Chachma Yiras Hashem. Isn't the goal of learning Torah to be a Yiras Shamayim and to be a tzaddik? So why, Frek the Zohar, does it say Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem? It should say Soif Chachma Miboyle. It should say Soif Chachma. Ella Ihi Reishis. But the answer is, it's the first thing in the sense, says the Zohar, is that's how you get into the door. La'ala, to enter, lago darga de chachmasa ilah, to get into the high madrega, to get into the yeshiva to begin with. Both Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Gamliel are maskim that to get into the yeshiva to begin with, Tara kadma lachachma ilah yiras Hashem ihi. The first Shaar, Tara is a Shaar. Tar, Tuf, and Shin are interchangeable, like Shura and Torah, right? Shura, Torah, like a Shaar is a Torah. So the Elohi Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem Mikrazeh Kacha Yitzarach Leimer Seif. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Tara Kadma LaChachma Ilah. The Yiras Shamayim is the first Shaar. Harei Mavoyar. So what we see from here is Agam Sha'yira Hi Mitzvah Achas. Actually, Yira is one mitzvah of Amir B'Yerushalmi. Shekol mitzvah zayin shavas l'davar echad min ha'Torah. Okay, Yiras Shamayim is v'yareisa me'alekecha. It's only one pasuk. So why is that the important thing here? Omnam mitzvahs kniyas ha'yira mimenu yisparach. The idea of having Yira from Hashem, Rabba hi ma'oid. That's very, very broad. Because without it you have no silo. You have no capacity. And without it, now what do you want to do with that sentence? Torah without Yiras Shamayim nimeses chas v'shalom be'enei habriyos. Let me just explain something here. If a person is, in an extreme example, if a person is a hypocrite, a Talmud Chacham, but he doesn't keep what he says, he's a ganef, or a liar. So not only have you discredited this person, who is he? What has happened here, lo yaleinu, because it happens every day, is if you discredited the whole Torah. You haven't only discredited the Talmud Chacham. Okay, he's not real. What happens is, who's this guy? He's a Talmud Chacham, he's a Rav, he's teaching Torah, he's telling us what to do, and he's a no goodnik, he's a ganef. We caught him in Geneva, he's in jail. So what happens over here? Kol ha-Torah nimeses b'nei habriyos. People look at the Torah and they say, Ma hoyel lanu chachamim, what are they doing? Ma hani lanu rabbana. So he says, so here's our yeshiva. Okay, so Acher was a big kasha on Chazal.
He had Torah without Yiras Shamayim.
And he made a Chillul Hashem. He was a walking Chillul Hashem. So make sure you have the Yiras Shamayim first. Now let's just, if we have 4 more minutes, let's just look at the Haggah.
Just very quick, can I answer, Rabbi? In this term, are we saying therefore that Yira is like the Maisa? Is like the actual practice of what we do?
So I think as follows. It's a very good question. Yira is clearly no. It's the Oitzer. So that's the Keli. However, how the Torah comes out Lamaisa is completely talui in the Yira that I have. You know, is it there's a Torah of Yiras Shamayim, there's a Torah of an egomaniac. So what you want to be is the Torah of Yiras Shamayim.
What we said before, it sounds like if a person doesn't have Yira, they can't achieve Torah because that's the Otzer. How did Acher achieve Torah?
It's not. It wasn't Torah. It wasn't Torah. It won't take him to Olam Haba, and that was Gufa the Machlekes. If you look at that Gemara there in Chagiga, that's Gufa the Machlekes between Rameir and everybody else. Rameir sat by his kever and he says, "I want to know, is he taking his Torah to Olam Haba or not?" So Rameir held that that he had a good neshama. So okay, so his neshama was good. He was bad lemaisa, and he'll take it with. But the Chachamim said no. If it doesn't druk sechais lemaisa, then what kind of a Torah do you have? Something I was makabel for my Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, is he said, I asked him like, who's a Paisik? I once asked him like this. I said, who's a Paisik? And he told me, first I asked him, who's a Rav? Like, what's the main thing of a Rav? We're talking about Talmidei Chacham. You have Rav or Shiva, Posek, Who's a Rav? So he said, Reb Chaim Brisker said that a Rav has to be a Baal Chesed. Like, you say a Rav has to be the Baki and Shas and Poskim, obviously. That's obvious. But in order to be a Rav, you have to be a Baal Chesed. Or who's a Posek? A Posek has to be a Yiras Shamayim. Because if there's no Yiras Shamayim, there's always pniyos and negiyos and agendas to the psak. I have an agenda. I'm going to make the halacha work for that agenda because this is what I hold. A Yiras Shamayim is able to say, no, I made a mistake. So we said that a Rav has to be a Baal Chesed and a Posek has to be a Yiras Shamayim. And if you're a Rav who's a Posek, you have to be a Baal Chesed and a Yiras Shamayim. So that was what he said. So I told him this is my story. I told him, like, okay, that's a gewaldige chizuk, a gewaldige chiddush. It's not a chizuk. It actually got me down, but it's a gewaldige chiddush. Rav Scheinberg said. I asked Rav Scheinberg, and he said, "This is Rav Baruch Ber told me when he gave me smicha." He quoted Reb Chaim that you have to be a Baal Chesed, and he quoted Reb Baruch Ber. In other words, Reb Baruch Ber said himself that a posek, you have smicha, has to be a Yiras Shamayim. So I ask you all, and me too, together, let's to internalize it, and Yiras Hashem will pick up on Sunday if this is a good place. Baruch Hu v'atzlach, everybody stay safe. Atzlach Rabba.
Thank you.
Baruch to you.
Thanks, Rabbi Haber. Bye.
Thank you.
Shukaya.
Rebbe, what are you doing for shul?
Minyan by minyan, but right now we have a big building and we're letting 10 people in.
And the Ezra's Nashim will be open?
Another 10 people. No, the Ezra's Nashim I don't think is going to be open for women. I mean, it's 10 people. I mean, I'm not going to, but we need a minyan.
No, so what happens when the other people come and you're up to 20, so 10 will go into Ezra's Nashim?
No, we upstairs, yeah.
And then the other people come that have to be outside?
Outside. That's what we're doing. Lo ye'uman ki yasuper.
In America, they're not letting, there's no shuls. They lock the doors.
Look, America is a different situation a little bit.
Why is there such a difference?
I'll tell you that there's two differences that it seems to me, and yesterday I spent an hour and a half on the phone with Rabbi Weiss, and I'm very honored that he allows me to talk to him. I said, what should I do with the shul? He says, I was going to just call you and ask you that question, which was a joke, but it was a joke. But, America has two things. First of all, as opposed to Israel and the Misrad HaBriyut, they started late in the game. In other words, they were a week late, and it got much worse. Number two is there's an inyan of Kehillat Hashem, because if today all the tests are coming back from Borough Park and Flatbush and Williamsburg and Crown Heights, and it's chas v'shalom, but that's a high number. So the anti-Semitism could, God forbid, be worse than the plague. So here, Hashem, that's not the issue. The issue is safety. So yesterday I don't know, is people still listening here?
Yes.
Yesterday, there was on national TV, one of the big machers of refuah, who's a really good guy. So he said that nobody's allowed to go to shul, and Beit Knesset, Shvita b'Beit Knesset, and he said he's just spent, and the interviewer said, did you speak to Rabban about it? He says, I just got off the phone with Rav Weiss, and Rav Weiss said that he's locking his shul, he's locking his shul, and what was the last year? B'Soyer Gu Bariach, and he closed the shul in Shaar Tzedek. B'Soyer Gu Bariach, completely locked. Nobody's coming into his shul, and that's what he advises everyone to do. So it felt funny to me because I had just spoken to Rav Weiss, so I called him, And he said, "Lo haya devar me'olam." So I never said such a thing. He says, "My shul is open, and we're keeping takanas of 10 people and spaced apart." So, fake news. By the way, he said, "Could be we should close the shuls," but I just never said anything like that. Is that what I said? So you got to be careful also that we're hearing things from reliable sources and not spin and not hysteria, and you have to have yeshiva das. Okay, I end the meeting. Be well.